We can go ahead and, it came out at 1:15, but it's okay, we can table. Oh. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We're going to have a Black History presentation by Miss Aaliyah.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Aaliyah. I go to Bloomfield High School. I'm a senior, and I'll be singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. And may I ask if everyone stand up for the singing of the song? Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far on the way, thou who has by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
So let me brag on her just a little. Aaliyah has gotten scholarships to, I believe, 7 universities, and they're academic scholarships. She's also a member of the Bloomfield High School girls basketball team, and they're currently in championship games because they have been undefeated. Simply amazing. Right. I was waiting to say that it was Jeanette's daughter. Well, she's my daughter, but Jeanette. So thank you so very much for coming out. Thank you very much. At this time, do we have any citizen statements and petitions?
Yes.
Valerie Bear.
I'll try to make this quick, everybody.
Please note,
I'd rather not be here, but anyway, for this anyway.
we do have a 3-minute rule. We have a little buzzer thingy over
Okay.
there. Red,
Keep me on.
yellow,
Okay.
green. It will give you warnings,
All right.
but then you'll know when it's time's up.
Okay, Madam Mayor, thank you. I was here in fact, on May 28th, 2005. I came to talk about, I was part of the 213 Housing Rehabilitation Program and all the stuff that's been going on. I think some of you have some of the records.
Excuse me, do me
Sure.
a favor, please, just step back 2 steps, give us your name and your,
Oh,
your name and your address.
I'm so sorry, Madam Mayor.
That's
Okay, Valerie Bolden Barrett, 32 Terry Plains Road.
Okay.
Yes, sorry about that. I had mentioned at the time that even though the program started, for me anyway, in 2013, since then I've had a lot of problems with the roofing on my home. I had people come in to look at it, contractors who noticed that the roof was rebuilt, the whole entire roof was rebuilt, for those of you who don't know. And the workmanship was poor. So I had water coming into my house from 2013 to 2019 without really knowing it until we had the heavy rains this past spring. That's when the water started coming through the ceiling. And most of the council members were here then, so I won't repeat that, bore you with that. But since then, I had contacted the state because the state was puts out the funds, disperses the funds to the towns. And Bloomfield had a little trouble. He admitted that you all weren't there at the time. You weren't in charge at the time, but the other council members were, but nothing was ever done about it. In the meantime, the state appointed Mr. Rivera, sorry, I think of his name here. Anyway, he's with the state. He came to talk with Jose Gaina, the town planner, and they supposedly had a meeting at the end of August. And I was told by Mr. Rivera that they had talked about some kind of a resolution, but I never heard from them at all, and here we are into 2020. So I'm asking the council to look into it if they wouldn't mind, or have somebody look into it. The town council, COUNSEL, and I had a few words. We're not getting along at these, not supporting me on this at all, and I'm not happy about that. And I have expressed that to different people. But I'm asking the council if they look into it again to see how they can help, or see what kind of restitution is available. So that's, and I do have papers I can leave with India.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Meredith Johnson?
Good evening, Council. I'm sure you'll let me know if I'm out of protocol with procedures as it relates to something that was commissioned, the painting that was commissioned to my foundation that I wanted to appeal to the council. I'm sorry. Oh, Meredith, I think everybody knows it. No, Meredith Johnson, 109 Booth Bay Street. As it relates to a piece of art that was commissioned to my foundation that for about 2 years I wanted to have considered by the council to be a part of the new building. I initially didn't come to the town council meeting today to present this, but as I sat in the back at about 7 o'clock, I said, this is the perfect day to present it. I just want to read a quick, do I have 2 minutes? I don't have 2 minutes for? As I sat in the back at 7 o'clock, what moved me was I want to applaud the council for the support that was given to the family for that tragic experience that occurred Saturday. I did see that the council seemed to really hold the family and the tragedy and give support. So I said, this is a time that I think the consideration of this this commissioned artwork would be good. It also is a piece of literature that goes with it. Who would have the audacity to view the world through the minds of little boys and girls, where freeze pops become the ultimate priority, and we have no need for terms like moral majority? Pigmentation of the skin is only highlighted in art, not to be used despairingly to determine if you fit the part. In the playground called life, everyone must have a turn, and you couldn't graduate until this principle was learned. The audacity to have the time to lay back and gaze at the stars instead of watching the news, waiting for the alert of wars. The audacity of priorities like love and charity, not globalizing a principle they have more than me. A magical world where children love two fairies and wait to meet the Prince of Peace, love, and hope's audacity. So this piece of artwork was commissioned to my foundation, the Down South Foundation, which is I'm the founder of, and it's called Hope's Audacity. And I'd like to appeal to the council to consider having this in the new building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and the poem.
Madam Mayor, the new bill, the human services, yeah.
Can you leave it with India?
I
Or
would
you
like
want to
to
hold on to it?
I would like to talk on how, if it's something that is appropriated, how to have it encased appropriately for the building and things of that nature, since it's natural form right now, so we'll talk to you.
As well as the cone,
I believe we'll do
Mary, as well as the cone.
Are you going to put that poem under it?
the poem,
Yeah.
encased properly for the decor of the building.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Anyone else?
Oh, yes, sorry, Dennis Hobbs.
You.
Hi, I'm Dennis Hubbs. Most of you know me, I think, 16 Brook Street in Bloomfield. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Philly Park Committee. I think the town council has probably heard this statement already, but I was asked to read it again. It's important, I think, that we get this project finished. The Philly Park Committee was established in 2008, 12 years ago, as a permanent committee by the town council. Our charge was fundraising, but we also served as a voice to our citizens on the design of Philly Park. In 2015, the town council, with help from various grants, took steps to bring what was once Bloomfield's jewel back to life after years of neglect. And we've all seen the neglect over the years. We are now in 2020, and this centerpiece of and for the community is still not completed. This year, the plan is to reconstruct the north parking lot with $50,000 from the annual budget, and that's basically all we have at this point. This means that the design of the natural playground, meditation circle, and anything west of Philly Pond remains unfinished. Citizens and, where am I here? Citizens and businesses who generally donated over $94,000, that's unbelievable, to support Philly Park are wondering what is going on. This is unfortunate, as the rebirth of Philly Park has created a sense of pride and joy in our town that is unprecedented. This includes our BHS student volunteers, the Philly Park ambassadors, who keep asking us, how can we help? Today, the Philly Park Committee asks the town council to make Philly a top priority in 2020. We respectfully request that funding come from the capital improvement program and/or bonding, whatever is necessary, not just to redo the parking lot, but to build the playground, the meditation circle, and restore and maintain the trail system, and complete the entire project, including the pavilion. We're hoping that 2020 will be the year that we celebrate the reopening of Philly Park. We're also hoping that the pavers are installed finally to coincide with Celebrate Bloomfield, which is the end of May this year. So keep our fingers crossed on that. My own personal feeling is that the park is one of the first things people see when they come into town, especially from the north. And the condition that thing was in several years ago, was really awful. I think the town has stepped up now and has kind of taken responsibility for maintaining it, and I hope that will continue. I really would like to see the funds appropriated in some way, again, whether it's from the capital improvement fund or from bonding or what have you, to just get the entire project completed, hopefully this year. It's still a jewel. It looks 1,000% better than it did, but it still needs to be finished. I think people are probably not aware that that park is not just the pond. It's quite a number of acres to the west behind with trail system and everything. And once it's completed, it's going to be fabulous. School children will be able to study nature and you name it there. So we're hoping that something will happen this year. It's just gone on for 12 years. It's just too long to complete that project. It's kind of silly at this point. So hopefully that'll happen. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll have our report from our subcommittees. Community Service, Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no report to give. Our next meeting is in April. Thank you.
Administration, Education, and Finance, Councilor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Admin Education Committee met on February 19 and voted to forward the attached revision for approval tonight for the guidelines in regards to recording, televising public meetings. That's the only item. It was a special meeting, and that's on the agenda tonight for discussion and approval. In regards to Finance, Finance Committee met on February 18. A presentation was provided by Bloom Shapiro. They provided audit results for period fiscal year ended in June 30th, 2019. Unmodified, clean financial opinions was expressed for the financial statements. There were no significant deficiency or materials weakness reported in the internal control for the financial reporting. This is huge. For the last 2 years being on the council, I can say that we have a really good financial department headed up by Carrie, who is a really good individual in providing good guidance, and along with management. And so I'm happy to say that we have a clean audit and we continue to produce good financials. Thank you. Updated on the revaluations. As reported by the town assessor, there were a significant increase in the grand list. However, the new growth compared to actual revaluation in the new market over the past 5 years was difficult to present an actual figure based on the flow of the process through the year with building permits, new properties, etc. It is difficult to extract the 2018 value be compared to the 2019 value with adding a new growth, while utilizing various models, the cost table, per se. The town assessor also provided data from the building permits to assess approximate new growth. For real estate, the town had 90 million in permits. However, 60 million does not count and affect 5 properties that would not affect value. Currently, the department has 274 properties that have requested a hearing to appeal tax revaluation figures. It's roughly around 49% value change to 44% no change and 77% no-shows. Councilors had different questions pertaining to that, but nothing significant came out of that. Hopefully we'll get a true figures in the next couple of weeks or so or month. We reviewed the financial report for January. Revenue, the tax collection rate was 95.66%, which is slightly above the rate of 95.36% for the same fiscal year last year. Building demolition permits revenue surpassed anticipated collections for fiscal year 2020. Collection was roughly around 1.1 million. Expenditures overall for the month of January expenditures spent are 56.2% of the total year's budget. These expenditures do include a 1.7 million in encumbrance example purchase orders. Based on the current projection, which includes 656,000 increase in the projected revenue, the general fund balance would decrease to about 18.47 million, which is 20.1% of the current year budget. And that's my final report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilor Goff.
Yes, very quickly, we are we had our meeting at the beginning of the month, so our March meeting will be on March 9th, coming up in a few weeks. So be looking for the agenda. Thank you.
Committee on Committees, Councilor Calhoun.
Good evening, everyone. Committee on Committees met on February 18th, and we were there to review to replace members that are absent on the following committees. Board of Assessment and Appeals, which we're looking to reinstate those members tonight. Bloomfield Recreation Committee, which we are still looking for 1 Democratic vacancy and 2 Republican vacancies. Beautification Committee, we are still looking for 2 Republicans to complete the Beautification Committee. CEEC, which is Conservation, Energy, Environment Committee, we're still looking for 1 Republican to complete that committee. Emergency Management Systems, we are looking for 1 Democrat to complete that committee. Fair Rent Commission, we're looking for 1 Democrat to complete that vacancy. Inland Wetlands Commission, 1 vacancy on Democrat as well. Commission on Time of Committee on Committee meetings, that will be completed. Again, we will put forth in solidifying the Board of Assessment and Appeals for this evening, and that completes my notes for tonight.
Excellent. Land Use and Economic Development, Deputy Mayor Mann.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Land Use and Economic Development Committee has not met yet this month. We have a special meeting coming up this Wednesday, and we anticipate talking about the first preliminary information coming in on our proposed TIF districts, tax increment financing. The information will be to define these areas based on their tax value of the property in those districts, which is needed as a basis to project whatever kind of bonding capacity may be available. This is rough shape at this point. We'll go through more consideration and talk, as well as putting together a timetable for achieving the end goal, which is to have a district set up legally, have public input, and to make a marketing statement to the public of who wants to come and develop it within these districts. So that will be over quite a bit of time, but our first real meeting will be Wednesday night at 6:30, Conference Room 5, if anyone's interested. Hope you come out. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councilor DiLorenzo is not here. He's traveling for business. The golf committee did not meet because we had a special meeting of admin and education. We're going to go to council old business 1920-37. This information was not disseminated to the councilors in a timely fashion. So is it possible to have a motion to table?
Madam Mayor, a motion to table.
There's a lot of people moving.
So move to table this item.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. New business 1920-38. Consider and take action regarding agreement between Bike Walk CT and the town of Bloomfield. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Can you read the move? Moved by Danielle, second by Rickford. Can you read that?
Okay. All right, should the council wish to move forward, the following motion would be in order. Let's see, authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with Bike Walk Connecticut in order for the Discovery Ride Series to commit to this event in Bloomfield.
Is there any discussions? All in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Hey, Octagon. 1920-39, consider and possible action regarding mayor's statement of interest, Connecticut Solid Waste Systems. I'm going to have the town manager expound upon that.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, we were approached by Mira. Mira is working with DEEP to begin to address recycling here in Connecticut, and some of the infrastructure that has been used to incinerate waste to generate electricity needs to be rehabilitated. there's a significant cost associated with that process, and they requested letters of support, non-binding letters of support from communities. As you'll see from the communication that I've got here in the packet, there's an awful lot left unknown about that. The price range in terms of what the rates would be, the procurement process that was used and the selection made for the firm that would be doing the $330 million worth of work on that project. Our Director of Public Works went to that state workshop, participated in it, brought it back to me. His recommendation to me and my recommendation to council is, since it is a non-binding letter of recommendation and there are so many open-ended issues there, my recommendation is not to send a letter of intent and to wait and see what actually winds up settling out of this. The price ranges alone were staggering. I think we're paying $88 a ton to tip our stuff once it's hauled. They're looking at as much as $130 a ton at the end of this project, and I think we really need to consider what the project is actually going to really be, and whether or not Mira is going to do this with DEEP or DEEP is going to exit the picture. It's just not clear how this is moving forward.
So thank you very much. There was no action required. It was just getting an update, so thank you very much. 1920-40, consider take action regarding appointment to the Board of Assessment of Appeals. Councilor Calhoun.
Madam Mayor, I would like to recommend that the council vote to appoint the following 3 people to the Board of Assessment and Appeals. Sorry, my mic wasn't on. And the names of the following people are William Ortiz, he's a Democrat, 3 Hampton Lane. Harriet S. Howard, Democrat, 7 Spicebush Lane. And Meredith Johnson, unaffiliate / Republican, 109 Boothbay Street.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. 1920-41, consider and take action regarding tax refunds. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I move that the tax refunds per the attached list be approved in accordance with the memorandum dated February 19.
Is there a second? Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Report from our town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I would like to thank the council for their time this evening to have a workshop with our departments and go over departmental budgets. We found that very helpful and informative. I'm looking forward to starting a little earlier next year as we begin to address the budget. We are beginning to assemble that draft. It will be going out this week for print, and you will have your draft of the manager's recommended budget on time. We have developed an interim team to manage the Department of Public Works in the absence of the director, and we'll be moving forward with that process shortly. We're also working with the departments to bring some additional focus in the coming months to project management reporting and coordination between departments on projects such as Philly Park and others. We hope to improve our efficiency and transparency for you on that. State of the town, we recently had a State of the Town meeting. I found that an incredibly powerful and helpful sharing of information. And I just wanted to thank council for the ability to participate in that. You don't always see the manager doing that, and that was very helpful. Lastly, we as an administration continue to work with the police and the businesses at the plaza after this weekend, and we'll be assisting businesses there. I know that it's got to be difficult for them, so we'll be reaching out. Thank you.
Excellent. So I would like to give a couple of announcements as well. Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. for ages 7 and up at the Prosser Library Science Explorers Club, Baking Science and the Perfect Sugar Cookie, Danielle. So that will be taking place tomorrow. I might stop by just to make sure that it is the perfect sugar cookie. Starting next Thursday at Prosser, there will be a diabetes self-management workshop sponsored by the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District. This is a 7-week workshop that will take place from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And it is for individuals with type 2 diabetes or might be pre-diabetic or might be taking care of someone. Please forgive me. If you're diabetic or taking care of someone that is diabetic, this workshop is for you. Coming in April, the 2020 Bloomfield Citizens Academy will start. They will be held on Thursdays starting April 16th. Access Health is still in our neighborhood at the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District. We know that open enrollment is finished, but if you have a life-changing event, if you lose your job, if you get married, if you have a child, you can still go through Access Health for health coverage. So please contact the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District if this pertains to you. Census 2020 is on its way. Bloomfield has an amazing complete count committee, and we're thinking of ideas and ways to help make sure that Bloomfield is counted 100%. We want the state to be counted, but I'm more concerned that Bloomfield's counted, because every count equals dollars for our school systems, for our roads, for infrastructure, for our political representation. So it's extremely important. When you get that information in the mail, it should be coming out in the ending of March. It's going to be your first mailer. You can send the information in by mail. You can send it in electronically. You can even call the information in. The important thing is when you get that information in your mail, please fill out the census. It's extremely important, and I can promise you, Google has more information on you currently than if you fill out that census. So please, please, please take it seriously and please fill it out. At this time, can I have an motion for approval for our February 10th meeting?
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I'm not going to get too excited yet, but I'm a little excited, y'all. It's 8:02. Anyway, at this time, we're going to have council comments. I'm going to start with Councilor Politis.
I'll just steal a little bit of Councilor Calhoun's thunder from previous meetings and say she read off a long list of people that we need to fill committees with. It's a great opportunity to come out, be involved in this community, volunteer your time. It's a great way to give back, and you're desperately needed. A lot of these committees can't function without the people that we need in those roles. So please get out, be involved in this community, and work towards a better Bloomfield. Thank you.
Councilor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of things. I do want to thank Ms. Johnson for the art. I think that that's something, I think that's something as a town overall we need to be looking more at, especially with any of our buildings, but particularly new buildings, so that it doesn't look blank, that you walk in, it's inviting, and it has artwork, both visual and written word. I know the Economic Development Commission, one of their current tasks is to look at an arts program in terms of bringing, providing showcases for the arts in order to bring businesses and people to town and put the businesses and the people together. So thank you for that contribution. I want to thank the folks from Octagon, the Bike Walk Connecticut event, the Discover Connecticut. I did both rides last year. Last year they did a ride, they did a sort of rural ride in Falls Village, and then they did a urban ride in New Britain. And they were very different rides, but they were both very good. The ride in New Britain began at Walnut Hill Park and ended at the New Britain Museum of Museum of Modern American Art. Or of American Art, I guess that's it. So they're great events, and I I look forward to a slightly different model here that I think that can be very good for Seam Bloomfield. Finally, I want to thank the Philly Park Committee for their diligence in coming in. Everyone on this council is certainly in line, I think, with the idea that we can't keep doing these projects from bits and pieces at times, and they take centuries to accomplish. So I think we all hear you. We have that frustration with other projects we've gone through. So I hope we can do something this year. I also want to mention, though, that last council meeting, I made a few comments about complete streets, and I would just like to point out that, again, hopefully at some point Bloomfield will have a complete streets policy that will allow us, when we do renovation somewhere like Philly Park, we can hopefully do something about those utility lines. Because we're tearing up the streets and doing things like that, we can hopefully potentially get them out of the way, because when we're trying to improve the aesthetics of a park, that is a very difficult thing to continue to look at those ugly utility lines. So those are all my comments. Thank you very much.
Councilor Merritt?
With a lot of agreement with all of the comments made. And I'd like to point out that on committees, you don't need to belong to a party. You can be an unaffiliate, independent, and just let anybody in the council know if you'd like to serve on any of those committees. Also, I'd like to, we really can't afford to do any of these projects in one fell swoop because they cost many millions of dollars, and we just can't get the money to do it. The bike path, for example, it's $1 million a mile, and we need grants to do that. We can't afford to do all that out of the town budget. So we do it incrementally, and we have to do it in 2-mile increments because we're not going to get the grants from the federal and the state government to do it any more than that. So it's going to take us a while to do the bike path all the way through town. It's like 7 miles, so figure that out. It's at least $14 million or more. And so we're trying to be smart about it and say, well, where do we need sidewalks? Let's do a bike path and a sidewalk at the same time. And so that kills 2 birds with 1 stone. One of the things we're looking at that fits in with the East Coast Greenway pathway is along Park Avenue. We'd like to have a sidewalk connecting the schools, for example. It makes a lot of sense, so the kids can ride bicycles from 330 Park all the way to the center. On some kind of a bike path that would also be a sidewalk. So, and we'd be using federal money, which is also nice, instead of our taxpayers. But this bike path thing is a bike ped thing is a real need in town. There are a lot of people interested, and they're very fascinated by where we're going to put the bike path and how soon it's going to happen. To have an active group like you guys, that's wonderful. And hopefully we can all get together and have a meeting, ongoing committee that deals with bike ped issues in town, so that we can settle some of the issues about where the bike path is going to go, where some of the rules are, what we're going to do with it, and how does that, and other routes through town for other bike paths and other walking trails. So we have all sorts of ideas, and we need to bring them together of what we do along the bike path. And so if hopefully you get involved and we can get an organization going so we can do some things in town. I think that bike ped group had a session. There were about 100 people on bikes that came out on our 2-mile stretch of the East Coast Greenway in North Bloomfield, and this last fall, I came in. I was overwhelmed by the crowd. I happened to be out on my own walking the trail, and I think that they were doing it there, and that's quite a group. And so I hope that continues. But thank you all. End it there in the interest of brevity. I don't usually run on, so that's good.
See, that's why I shouldn't have got too excited. Councilor Calhoun?
Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are in 2020, And we established, well, I wasn't around at that time, but Negro History Week was established in 1926. We have since moved into Black History Month. We are not just people of the diaspora that are celebrated just for 1 month out of the year. We are a people who, within industries, within actors, actresses, the different areas of work that we currently do, but we are the diaspora of 326 days. And I am one of those, and love myself as such. And I just wanted to make sure that each one should teach one and make each other be uplifted because of the color of their skin, not just 30, 31 days of the month, 29 days of the month. I'd like to go back to our February 10th meeting, and when we looked and we celebrated Miss Valerie Lawson, 12 years old. And her title of her talk was When I Become President. Could we imagine if a 12-year-old would be able to be celebrated to be president for maybe 1 month at a time for a year? To learn, to be able to be exposed to the presidency. And because of that, their ideas will be formulated, and maybe we won't become stagnant on where we are now. I would also like to go over and reiterate the need for, as my fellow councilman stated, that we need your help. We do not do this because it's pushed on us. It's because we like to and we want to. I still work a full-time job. That's my paid gig. And there's time. All of us are busy, but we need you, Bloomfield, to come out and support the town. Also, we are in budget season. We will come upon a town hall meeting, which the mayor will state, I guess, what the date will be coming up soon. I encourage each and every member of the town of Bloomfield to come out and have their input. This is important to you, and I, all of us on this podium this evening. It's very important that we have your input. We do not want to make decisions about your life in Bloomfield without you. And I thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilor Burton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you everyone for coming out this evening, and everyone who's looking at home. I just want to quickly comment on the incident that happened this past weekend that rocked our town. It was a sad event, and it's another example to say that anything could happen anywhere. This happened in Bloomfield, but it happens every single city and state in this country on a daily basis. We have to show love. Love is lacking in our society. And I just want to say our police force, we say all the time that they're the best, and it's proven that they're the best. They have resolved, at least to a certain extent, identifying the person who did this horrific incident this past Saturday morning. So I just want to say to everyone that Bloomfield is a wonderful place. It's safe, and continue to come out and go and visit the restaurants. This was an isolated incident, and the town is still a safe place to come out and enjoy yourself with your family. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Councilor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for Philly Park Committee for coming out and just being committed to advocating. Hopefully we can move forward with that at some point as we move through budget season and understand our priorities. To Councilor Merritt's point, it does take millions of dollars to complete some things. To that end, you know it doesn't cost millions of dollars? Brand new Rockwell basketball courts. So, just something I'm working on in the end and with my fellow colleagues. I can't wait to participate in Bike Walk Connecticut. Thank you for the group who came out, and I look forward as that progresses. The beautiful song, the Black National Anthem, and the young lady who came out just floored me. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for her. Aaliyah, thank you. Thank you, Aaliyah. And again, prayers and thoughts are with the family from this past weekend's tragic event. I remain committed as a public servant and councilwoman to support our town, our businesses, and those impacted by that incident in any way I can. And let's see, and I will end with a quote like I typically do. There is a saying in Tibetan, tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No matter what sort of difficulties, how painful experience is, we lose our hope. That's our real disaster. The Dalai Lama. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Meehan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and hello, everyone. I think everything I had down to speak about has already been touched on, but I just want to maybe give them a little bit of a different slant. I am overwhelmed and excited about having this bike walk project in Bloomfield. I'm more excited about the Octagon Bicycle Club, who we happened to meet by circumstance one evening at one of our meetings, one of our caucus meetings, and it established a relationship. No one knew that either was in town, and you've stepped up and taken a role within our town to do what you enjoy best and help us to accomplish something that we've been trying to do for years, which was to create a kind of a connectivity within our own community where people could move around and see what the other side of town looks like, be part of that. And that bike walk, I participated in Hartford years ago, and we went to every part of Hartford, parts that most people don't go to, and people were so welcoming. It was very special, and I'm sure we will have that here in Bloomfield. But more than that, I think we'll give people a better idea of Bloomfield, and I'm excited for your participation. The budget, we are presently in the budget process. And for all of you out there, this is a $92 million effort for this town, including the Board of Education. Money does not come easily, especially with the federal government and state government, playing the game pretty tightly and not delivering the kinds of funding that they used to. So our challenge gets more and more difficult every year. We hear what the administration feels is appropriate. We like to hear, and we do hear from some of our fellow council people and what they think is appropriate in the community as to what they feel is appropriate. And it gets finally to our desk, and we have to make that rough decision as how much we put out for this year, how much we raise taxes or don't raise taxes. And it's a very difficult process that we have to go through because we can not only just deal with this year, we have to be worried about next year and 30 years from now. So we can't blow it all at once. We have to make an intelligent decision. So we really would be helped by some of your own thoughts about what you all think is important as we move forward. Many of you have a direct line to community activities and functions and so forth. That could be helpful in that process. So again, as some of my other colleagues have mentioned, please do come out. Please participate. Please make your thoughts known. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you all for being here. I'm still excited. This is still good. So the annual town meeting where we'll be discussing the budget or presenting the budget will be May 4th. The budget process starts on March 12th. You are all invited. I do believe the revolution will be televised, so please come out and be a part of that. I too want to talk about the tragedy that happened this weekend, the family. Right? Because you read the news and you see the news stories, but when you actually interact with the family and see their pain and their heartache, then it really hits home. This event, this tragic event, took place stone's throws from our police department, right? One of the safest areas you think that you would be in town. But I realized that when we can't articulate the way we feel, we have to find other means to let someone know how angry or how upset we are. I'd like to go back to the days of talking and yelling and screaming. Let me just tell you how I feel and get it out my system. And then we both walk away and be able to go into Elizabeth and have some calamari and call it a day. At least we both get it off our chest and we both live to see another day. So I'm going to ask us as evolved beings to learn to conversate, not text, not email, because those tones can be misinterpreted. But that face-to-face conversation, pick up the phone. Let me tell you what I really think. Not on TV though, just one-to-one. So I do know that we as a people, that we as a town, that we as a community, we have good fabric. You know that good fabric that when you wash it, it doesn't shrink? We have good fabric. We're a great place to live, work, and play. And when tragedy happens, it's more important for us to strengthen those resolves than for us to run away and hide. We were at Elizabeth's this weekend, and it was great to see people coming in. And people came in because they said, I had to be here because I didn't want hate or fear to win. So I'm going to leave us with this, and then we all get to go home. If we as a people realize the greatness from which we came, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. Marcus Garvey. Is there a motion on the floor?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.